of shadows.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and for today's video I am once again super excited because we are going to be diving into Wendigos, which has been so highly requested from you guys ever since I dove into skinwalkers in particular. I have always known about Wendigos, but I didn't realize just how far back this goes and how much there is to be believed as far as Wendigos go. I don't want to miss anything. I want to do my best to cover absolutely everything that I possibly can. So without further ado, let's just dive right on into this video. So a Wendigo is actually a spiritual being belonging to the spiritual traditions of Algonquin-speaking First Nations in North America. Wendigos are described as powerful monsters who have a strong desire to kill and eat their victims. The Wendigo is also described as a spiritual creature that is able to bring famine and harsh storms to the land. Now, interestingly enough, there are many different versions of the legend, and there's also different meanings behind the word Wendigo. Roughly translated, the word Wendigo actually means the evil spirit that devours mankind. Another translation, said to have been made by a German explorer in around 1860, equates the word Wendigo with cannibal. The Wendigo legend actually existed in Algonquin oral history for centuries before any of the Europeans arrived in North America. However, the first European written account on a Wendigo was actually written by Paul Lejeune. He was a Jesuit missionary who actually lived amongst the Algonquin people in the early 17th century in what is now Quebec. Father Lejeune's report demonstrates that 17th century Europeans actually believed in evil spirits just as much as their First Nation contemporaries. Between the late 1800s and the 1920s, a Wendigo is said to have appeared in a town in Minnesota. Now, each time that this Wendigo would have appeared, it was followed by a sudden death. The sightings, however, were said to have eventually just subsided, and it all eventually stopped there. In most legends, humans are actually transformed into Wendigos due to their greed or their weakness. Various indigenous traditions actually deem Wendigos to be incredibly dangerous because of their thirst for blood and their ability to infect otherwise healthy people and communities with evil. According to one of the more popular versions of Wendigos, a Wendigo is created when a human resorts to cannibalism. What's interesting about this is that it was actually believed that this would occur even if the person resorted to cannibalism as a means for survival. When a person consumed the flesh of another human being, it was thought that they were overcome by evil spirits and thus turned into a Wendigo. Though the Wendigo was actually able to exist in the human world in physical form, it was actually believed that a Wendigo was a spirit form, and like many spirit forms, was able to become invisible, fly, become undetectable, and even possess humans. Although the Wendigo was actually thought to be able to possess humans, it was said that they were very selective as to which humans they would choose to possess. In another story to do with Wendigos, it was actually believed that the first ever Wendigo was actually a warrior who made a deal with the devil. In order to save his tribe, it was believed that he gave up his soul to the devil and then became a Wendigo. It was actually said that when the war subsided and peace was brought upon, there was no more need for such a fearful creature, and therefore he was banished from his tribe and forced to live as an outcast. Some believe that the human person actually continues to live within the Wendigo in the area of where the heart should be. It's believed that this person is frozen, and the only way to kill the Wendigo is to kill the human being as well. Other stories claim that a Wendigo is a well-fleshed giant that gets proportionately bigger the more that it continues to eat. According to the legends, a Wendigo has pointed animal-like ears with antlers or horns coming out of its head. A Wendigo's eyes are sunken in or even considered to look like glowing hot coals. They have sharp pointed teeth and a horrible stench from them. It's actually said that they have horrific breath and a horrific aroma or body odor to them that just stinks like nothing you've ever smelt before. The Wendigo is usually, but not always, considered to have powers like superhuman strength or the stamina to be able to stalk, prey on, overpower, and devour its victims. They are also said to have exceptional senses, so their eyesight is a million times better, their hearing is a million times better, and their sense of smell is also a million times better. making it very easy for them to prey on their victims. They are said to move with the speed of wind and actually possess the ability to walk on snow or water without even sinking into it. Some tales claim that they actually don't have lips, that their lips are missing because they got so hungry they even ate their own lips. The Wendigo is always hungry and can never be filled. It's also said that it takes great enjoyment out of stalking its prey, and that even after devouring an entire human, it's still not full in the slightest. A Wendigo grows with every meal that it eats in proportion to the meal that it just devoured. Now, it's believed that it's highly unlikely that a Wendigo could ever be killed. A Wendigo is a ruthless and savage predator, and its heightened senses allows it to really tune into every inch of the grounds that it's hunting on. Its senses are so strong that it's actually able to tune into its prey, even if its prey is miles away. It knows exactly where its prey is. And one thing that's really creepy about the Wendigo is that even though it's always hungry, it really enjoys taking its time with its prey. It enjoys the art of stalking its prey, instilling fear in its prey. It can sense with every step that it's taking the fear rising in the victim, and it enjoys that. So even though it's starving all the time, it takes its time to essentially torture its prey by instilling fear in it before attacking. A person who's being stalked by a Wendigo will start to get this feeling of dread and feel as though it's being watched. And this actually puts excitement and anticipation into a Wendigo for when it will go in for the kill. It's said that as a final warning before jumping in for the kill, the Wendigo will let out this harsh howl out into the wind. But that's not much of a warning, because once you hear that, it's pretty much too late. According to some legends, Wendigos can actually be killed by conventional weapons like a gun or a club or bat. Other legends make it a little more complicated, claiming that a Wendigo has to be subdued and have its icy heart cut out and then be melted in a roaring fire. Still, other legends claim that only a knowledgeable First Nation spiritual leader, a shaman, can dispatch a Wendigo with a specific spell or ceremony. A lot of people believe that the Wendigo legends are nothing more cautionary tales about isolation, selfishness, but most importantly, the importance of community. Some people believe that stories of Wendigos were often told in order to keep people away from feasting on other human beings when food supply was scarce in the winters. Because as I told you guys earlier, some legends of the tale actually claim that when you feast on another human being, you turn into a Wendigo. So it's thought that this was perhaps told in order to keep people away from wanting to resort to cannibalism in times of great hunger or when food is scarce. In the 20th century, the term Wendigo actually found itself in the Western medicinal vocabulary. It was used by early psychiatrists in reference to a mental condition where the patients actually felt overcome by the desire to resort to cannibalism. Wendigo psychosis is a term given to people who experience some sort of psychological break that causes them to crave human flesh even though they have other food sources. After first tasting human flesh, victims of Wendigo psychosis are unable to eat any food other than human flesh. They actually see themselves as an invincible man-eating monster that can't be satisfied with anything other than human flesh. Among other powers of the Wendigo, it's actually believed that the creature is able to bring on an illness called Wendigo fever. This disease is actually thought to be one of the ways that the Wendigo is able to get victims to eat. It's said to start with this strange, disturbing smell that only the person infected is able to smell, this horrible, strange, foul-smelling odor. When the person falls asleep, they'll suddenly be plagued with horrific nightmares that force them to wake up, and they begin crying and weeping and shivering from the amount of fear instilled from that nightmare. When they awake, they'll start to feel a burning sensation in their legs and in their feet, which forces them to actually get up and run out of their house. All of the victims inevitably actually run towards the woods, shedding their clothes as they go, and the victims are never seen again, and it's presumed they were eaten by a Wendigo. One of the most widely known cases of a Wendigo actually possessing a human being is that of Swift Runner, a Native American who actually killed and ate his entire family in the winter of 1879. In the early 1900s, a member of the Cree tribe of northwestern Ontario named Jack Fiddler actually told a Methodist minister of his ability to kill Wendigos. Word would eventually spread of his self-proclaimed abilities, and he said that he'd actually killed 14 Wendigos in his lifetime and that his ability to do so had saved the lives of many. Now, Jack Fiddler and his brother Joseph were actually imprisoned for having killed a woman before she transformed. So that is, in essence, a summary of all the different beliefs as far as Wendigos go. I'm sure there are plenty more. I'm sure there are details that I may or may not have left out. But overall, there are many people who do believe that Wendigos do exist. And there are many people who claim to have had experiences with Wendigos. If you want me to do a whole video on people's experiences with Wendigos, let me know in the comments below. But overall, I really need to just leave this information with you guys and ask you guys, what do you think of Wendigos? Do you think that they're real? Do you think they exist? Or do you think they're an urban legend, or perhaps a legend created to instill fear and kind of try to kill selfishness and cannibalism and really put together a sense of community? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you guys.